Hi, Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And welcome back, Stephen. Where the hell you been? Who said that you could leave? Did you get permission? Did you get a hall pass?
I did. I made sure.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you. Welcome back.
Thank
Mark
you.
Ronner, whatever.
Hey. I have these things called feelings. Come on now.
No, you don't. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on. Don't
you're
lie
right.
to
You
me.
busted me. I lied. Well,
You care very little about very few things.
the traffic on the way in gave me feelings. That's what I got right now.
You know what? Let me start there because it took me an exceptional amount of time to get in today, and I don't know exactly why.
Yeah.
It took me about an hour and 20 minutes, and I have no real understanding. I can't quite say it's the holiday weekend traffic. I don't know if it's that. I know there's still a lot going on, obviously, because of the fires. But earlier, because of the fires, we had less traffic. People were staying off the road. I don't know if we're to the point where college kids are back now for their next semester or next quarter, but today was really, really hellish when it came to traffic.
It's the worst I've seen it in quite a while, and I have to admit, it really kind of softened me up to Tawala's air taxi pitch.
Oh, I'm open to the air taxi pitch. I just don't think it's actually going to happen in any of our lifetimes. I don't think we're going to see a flying car for the general public, especially in the next 20 years.
Well, and if it does, we'll die in them.
No, we will, because we can't even handle a two-dimensional plane driving. So why would you think in three-dimensional space flying that we're going to be any more responsible?
No, we have this whole system predicated on the idea that these fast-moving hunks of metal can never, ever so much as touch each other. How do you think that's going to work out when cars are flying?
Yeah, and look, you're again on that two-dimensional plane, okay? There's a car to the left of you, car to the right of you, car in front of you, car behind you. Now, let's introduce cars above you and cars below you. No, not happening. Good evening to Chihuahua Sharp, producer for the show. Is that hello?
You all are hilarious.
Let's get this party on the road. Seriously, we have a lot of serious business that we will cover tonight. We have updates on the fires, of course. We have updates on some of the unfortunate stats. For example, 25 fire-related deaths reported so far, 97 fire zone arrests, which include charges for burglary, looting, and vandalism. All of those numbers that I just gave you are going to increase daily. You can bet on that. We'll tell you about, do you have any type of do you have any recourse if you were forced to evacuate your home? Let's say you've been out of your home for a week and a half now. You don't know when you might go back. Do you have to still pay your rent? Are you responsible for your mortgage? It's not like you chose to leave. You were forced to leave. We're going to get into that. And also, you probably have noticed that the air quality, regardless of where you are, especially if you're in an impacted zone, but even outside the impacted zone, the air quality is not very good. There are some things that you should be mindful of to do and not do to make it worse wherever you are. You might be 30 miles away in, let's say, Long Beach. There are things that you should take to heart as far as not doing to making sure your immediate air quality does not get progressively worse. You know, probably from Mark Ronner and other KFI news anchors that TikTok plans an immediate U.S. shutdown on Sunday. I have a lot of thoughts on that. In fact, we're going to do a little pre-test, and I'm going to use Stefan to help me out. Stefan, you didn't know that this was coming.
No, I didn't.
I want you to open up a browser
Okay.
on your computer. I don't care if it's Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or whatever's out there these days.
Try that Bing.
Yeah, Bing.
Yeah, I hear it's great.
Not that I'm going to use it.
No, nobody uses it. Nobody.
All right, go to TikTok.com. This is serious.
Okay.
All right. Does the website come up?
It sure does.
All right. Do you see an opportunity for you to log in?
Yes.
All right. And if you try to log in, it should give you the option of a QR code.
Yeah. Right there.
All right. If you try the QR code, tell me what happens on your phone. This is very, very important.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, let me explain. And I'm going to get into this, but I want to set it up now. TikTok being banned means that it will not be in the Apple App Store. It will not be in the Google Play Store. And allegedly, the app will not be updated. But you, Stefan, just logged in, correct?
Well, yeah.
Okay. And it should come up on your phone.
Yeah, it came up as a option to download the app through the Apple Store.
Oh, on mine. Okay, so do you have the app on your phone already?
No, I don't have the app because that's the only one I don't use. But,
okay.
It did give me the opportunity to download it.
Okay, this is what I can tell you. If you already have it on your phone, it'll just open up.
Okay.
And you will not have to actually put the app on your phone. It should have gone to like a web version of it.
Well, because since I don't have it, it's taking me to go download it, and then I'm sure it would. If I had an account, I'm sure it would open up. I think Mark said his worked.
Mark, what happened with you? Turn on the mic.
Yeah, thank you. It's on my phone, but I'm not on TikTok. I don't use it, but apparently it's still available in the App Store. You can get it
for 3 more days. I suspect it's going to go to a web-based version. And if it goes to a web-based version, you would not need the app because you can use TikTok right now. You can log in and use it on your desktop computer. And it's not an app. And there's nothing legally precluding you from using it as a web-based service. You can upload your videos and everything.
But isn't that worse? If TikTok is spying and you're actually logging on from your desktop browser or say from a work computer.
Aha. We will get into that later on tonight. In short, I don't think anyone really thought this through. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And even if TikTok goes away, it'll just be called something else. And we're going to get into what that something else is called as well.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before the break, I was telling you about how long it took me to just get to the studio. I was commenting to a number of people in the office, only like 5 people in the office, and we all basically had the same conversation that today particularly was ridiculous when it came to the flow of traffic. And from what I understand, Tawala had a similar experience. Not sure about Mark Ronner, but what was your experience like?
It was literally like hell on earth. No, maybe hell on the road because it took me an hour and a half to get here. And that's a trip that typically should only take me 30 minutes at max. I'm on the 5 heading to the 18, or I'm on the 118 going to the 5 so I can hit the 170. And all of a sudden there's a wall of red lights because I'm moving. I'm moving on the 118. I hit the 5, I curve over. I'm like, what are these lights doing here? What is happening? Why are all these lights in my way? I need y'all to scoot along. And
I got places to go.
On both sides, I see California Highway Patrol zoom by me, and I'm like, oh, maybe there's something that happened up there. But then I see them do the swivel of death.
Oh, the traffic break.
Yeah. And I'm like, but it's 2 of them. It's not just 1. It's 2. So they really got to stop the traffic. I make my way off the freeway eventually. You know, it's that slow. You're trying to get off. I don't even remember what street it was, but I'm like, I know my way around on the streets. I'm good. I'll take the streets. Okay. I get off the freeway and instantaneously, I don't know where I'm at. So I'm like, go north. You're going to hit a street.
You do have GPS in your car, right?
Yes, but here's the problem is it was moving slow. So it was like telling me turn left, like, and I had already passed the left like 2 blocks ago.
Mine too does that. It's like, oh, well, I could have used that information 10 seconds ago.
I've already, the street is already 2 lights back. Turn right now. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what's happening. So the phone is moving slow and I'm still getting more lost, at least in my mind, following the GPS. I'm like, turn off the GPS. I'm going to navigate it myself. And I said to myself, you know what? After driving maybe 30 minutes, Tawala, you can't really see that good at night while driving.
Get out of my life. I'm at the age where I will start making decisions about whether I'm going to go to an event or not and what part of town it is and wondering whether it's lit well enough because I'm at that age where it's like, I'm not always comfortable driving at night.
Yeah.
I'm aware. It's just the age thing is real.
Seeing the street signs
Oh, give that up.
What would have helped me, even if I'm using my GPS, if I could see them in enough time, I'm like, oh, is that the street? I don't even know. Make a U-turn when possible. I'm like, okay, I missed the street.
Wait, should you be driving at all?
Wait. I'm going to jump in there, Mark, because I have to renew my driver license in November. When I went to handle some stuff at the DMV, and it takes a real long time for them to get to you, I am sitting down waiting for them to call my number. Okay?
Now serving B309 at window number 13. Now serving F913 at window number 37.
I'm sitting down and trying to memorize that whole sheet of letters for when I go back. I even took a picture of it because I was concerned as to whether I'd be able to pass the test. So yes, and with like Tuala driving, sorry to step on your story, sometimes I'm guessing at the street sign name. That looks like an F, T, Z, like you have the eye doctor, R, N, L, Wheel of Fortune.
All right, grandparents, let me ask you this. Do you have the depth perception thing where it's dark and there's a red light, tail lights in front of you, and you're having more trouble figuring out how near it is?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, Mark, kind of.
Yeah, that's why I stopped playing basketball. I officiate basketball, but I don't play anymore because my depth perception is not like it was. And, shooting is all about depth perception.
This is what I hear.
No, I'm being serious because my eyes don't always align anymore. So that, going from 2D to 3D, that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of times, I'll say this out loud, a couple of times, my proximity alert came on while on the street.
Yes. Yes.
A couple of times.
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
You have to stop driving.
Danger,
you have
Will
to.
Robinson, danger.
I was like, damn, I got to go get glasses because I'm tripping right now.
No, you need to take Ubers.
Look, the only thing in which I'm in agreement with Tuala about these autonomous taxis or vehicles, hopefully by the time that I have to stop driving, they will be fully functional and I will not be dependent on anyone to drive me around. I'm never going to be wealthy enough to have James as a driver. Home James. No, it won't be any of that. It'll have to be my own private Waymo of some sort.
Driving Mr. Kelly.
That's
I can't
right.
wait for the movie.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a little less racist, though. Just a little less.
Mr. O'Kelly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, you got to keep bringing my government name into this, Mark William Ronner.
I'm not ashamed of mine. I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but I'm not ashamed of it.
We got here because of the bad traffic. Okay, you were telling us, Tuala, about the double traffic break going on.
Oh, no, that was horrible. And taking the streets was even worse because I had no idea where I was at, even with the GPS. Finally, I got to I think Roscoe, and I'm like, oh, I know Roscoe. Take Roscoe all the way down. I had no idea Roscoe was that long. I'm passing through.
Like Sepulveda.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Where did Roscoe get? Did they extend Roscoe? Why is Roscoe so long? Yeah, it took forever and a day to get here.
Yeah, I don't know what it was today. It was really, really bad. Yes, there were accidents, but it just seemed the cars were much more voluminous. It was just more cars.
A politician in town?
Not that I know of. I mean, not, because Biden had his address, but that was I think, from the Oval Office. I heard it. I didn't see it. I assume he wasn't in L.A.
Yeah, I don't think he did it from the Grove.
Yeah. Oh, you never know. You never know. He could have thought he was in the Oval Office and just ended up in the Grove.
Okay, be nice.
Okay.
Put a foot up the guy's ass on his way out the door, even?
Yeah. Look, wasn't trying to be mean. I just took a shot out.
Gee, a cheap shot.
I know. Is there another kind? That's what I thought. There isn't another kind.
Let's see how the evening goes. I'll let you know.
I'm quite sure
we'll find out.
Yes.
Time for some empirical experiments on that.
Also, I noticed that between Tuesday and Wednesday, we were under the impression, we had the expectation that the wind was really going to be out of control. And at least where I was living, am living, today, didn't really feel much wind. And I was looking it up on different wind trackers, only like 1 or 2 miles an hour. I don't know I know that does help firefighters and it doesn't make their job that much more difficult. It may slow the spread of the fires. And I'm quite sure if you've been listening to Mark Ronner, you may have noticed that we're getting more containment on all the fires. And hopefully we won't have another conflagration of a new fire here or there. We won't have an arson attempt over there. And if we can just stay with these fires that we've been battling for the past week or so, then, we can hopefully turn the corner at this point. Hopefully. But I don't know, was it windy where you were, Mark, or Swallow? Because we're in very different areas of the city.
I was up until the wee hours of the morning, and it was incredibly windy overnight.
Yeah. Not by me.
Yeah.
Maybe I just slept through it because obviously got off work at midnight-ish. Didn't have any real problem getting home because driving my car is a little bit higher profile than what I've had before as an SUV. You feel the wind. Mm-hmm. It's moving the car to and fro. Didn't have that last night. Don't remember the wind howling well into the night because I didn't go home and just go straight to sleep. It's impossible. So I think I was up to maybe 2:30 or so.
No, North Hills was popping.
Yeah, for me, the Friday was the worst. I could feel it was moving my car.
Absolutely.
That was rough.
Yeah, but specifically last night, no.
And today felt like a summer day. Honestly,
it was actually hot.
It was. Yeah.
I was wearing a sweater and still wearing a sweater. And I felt like, gosh, I overdressed. I thought it was going to be cold in like the 50s, and it felt like it was 75, 80. I felt like I'm inappropriately dressed.
Definitely, by the time I got to Burbank, my temperature said like 79. So it was pretty warm today.
Yeah, LA can't catch a break. It's like you would rather at least be cold. It's already dry. We're already dealing with fires. The last thing we need is 80-degree weather. It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And to get serious when we come back, let's say you are forced to evacuate. It's an honest question now. See if we can answer it. Do you still need to pay your mortgage? How about your rent? What about utility bills? We'll talk about it next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Let's say if, unfortunately, you were some of the people who were evacuated or you lost your home, you may be unsure as far as your financial responsibility. You may be, more importantly, looking for a place temporarily for you and your family. It may be a new apartment. It may be a short-term rental of some sort, but you still have to consider your responsibility to your original living arrangement, be it a house or an apartment. And the question that many people have is, well, do I still need to pay my mortgage? How about my rent? What about utility bills? I mean, why would I be paying for water if I can't even use the water, or electricity when I can't even use the electricity? Have they turned off my meters? When are they going to come for my payment? I may not be in a position to be able to handle any of that. Great questions. Here are some answers for you. Let's start with the possibility, though unfortunate, that your home burned down. Obvious question, do you still have to pay your mortgage? Well, homeowners affected by this disaster are often eligible to reduce or suspend their mortgage payments for up to 12 months. 12 months. If your home was destroyed in a wildfire, what you need to do first and foremost is contact your mortgage servicer as soon as possible and go over your options. You could be, and this is not a guarantee, but you could be qualified for a forbearance plan that will temporarily lower or eliminate your monthly payment, and also it will prevent late fees and foreclosure. And when I was going through foreclosure, I spent many an hour on the phone with my loan provider. And although it may seem daunting, the last thing your loan provider wants is for the property to go into foreclosure. They're about getting their money. And the bank is not in the business of owning properties. They would rather stay with you and work out something with you than evict you, foreclose on you, and then they just have this empty property in which they're not making any money at all, and they have to sell off and for probably a loss or short. That's if your home burned down. What about property taxes? If your home or business was affected by the windstorms or fires or both, you could be eligible for temporary property tax relief through the LA County Assessor's Office. You would need to file a misfortune or calamity claim to request reassessment of your property. You will qualify for tax relief only if, and this is very important, only if the damage to your property exceeds $10,000 and you file your claim within 12 months of the incident. You don't have to rush, but you still have to be mindful of the fact that there is a clock and it is running. So again, you will qualify for tax relief only if the damage to your property exceeds $10,000. And let's be real, that's not a lot. It doesn't take much to exceed $10,000, but you also have to file your claim within 12 months of the incident. And that also figures into the issue of, well, if you are evacuated, you may not know exactly when you'll be able to get back to your property and be able to assess the extent, the financial extent of the damage. But again, $10,000 is not a lot, and you should be able to file that claim shortly thereafter. How about this? Let's say you rent a home or your business was damaged or destroyed. Do you still need to pay rent? And this is a question that I get personally and professionally all the time. Under California law, your rental agreement will become void if and only if the rental unit is completely destroyed in a disaster. Let me say it again. Under California law, your rental agreement will become void if the rental unit is completely destroyed in a disaster. That is different from being evacuated. That's different from a building being yellow tagged. But if it is reg tagged and is completely destroyed, you will no longer be required to pay rent, and your landlord must return your security deposit. That is so very important. There are two parts to that. One, you are not required to pay rent. And let's say you have a $2,500 deposit, and which is very common. You're obligated by law to get that money back, which could be very helpful, at least in the short term, trying to secure some other place to live. So you will no longer be required to pay rent, and your landlord must return your security deposit. But if your rental unit is only partially destroyed and can't be lived in, like yellow tagged, you can choose to end your rental agreement or wait for your landlord to make necessary repairs. And you probably wonder, well, let's say it takes 3 months. Do you have to pay rent during those 3 months? No, you will not have to pay rent while waiting for repairs unless you move back into the unit. So if your landlord, hypothetically, were to tell you that, yeah, you can't live in this unit, we have fire damage, we have smoke damage, we're going to have to just gut the inside and start over, it probably will take us 3 to 4 months. Those 3 or 4 months that you are not living in the unit, you, by law, are not obligated to pay rent because you can't live in the unit. But if you were able to move back in, all bets are off because you're using it as a residence. Yes, the repairs may not be complete, but if you can live there, inconvenient it may be, if you can live there, then the expectation is you'll be paying rent. You won't have to pay for the repairs because, again, you're a renter, but you will have to pay rent if you are living there. If you're a landlord, you are responsible for repairs after a disaster and have an obligation to make the unit livable as soon as possible. How specific that is, not very. What is as soon as possible? I don't know. We were talking about how just homeowners may have a process of a year or more trying to be made whole. From an insurance standpoint, you apply that to landlords in a multi-unit apartment building, could take even longer. And we talked about rent control. Let's say you live in an area not directly affected by the fires. Will your rent go up? We have this concern about price gouging. In fact, you probably heard it in the press briefings where they were saying like, hey, do not engage in price gouging. They're going to clamp down on those who try to do that. Well, I'm not holding my breath because that's what people do. But California's anti-price gouging law is now in effect. And this limits rent increases to no more than 10% above pre-emergency levels after an emergency is declared. And that to me that actually pisses me off. It's like, wait a minute. They can still raise your rent 10% after the fires. Let's say you're paying $3,400 a month. And that could be for like a 1-bedroom here in Burbank. 10%, $340. $340 out of nowhere for a disaster which may not have impacted your building, but by law, legally, with the exception of a stipulation agreement, you might be month to month, but let's say you're month to month, they can raise your rent $340. Mark, I hate to keep reminding people, but I have no real understanding why we keep voting against rent control. I don't get it.
I don't either. And as I said at the top of the 7 o'clock hour, with any natural disaster come the vultures. And I've been keeping track on Reddit of price gouging with landlords. People are reporting properties that were up for rent that have doubled their rent by 100%. And if you're familiar with Judd Legum, who does the popular information website, very reliable consumer-based news, and he's reporting here that they've identified dozens of LA landlords who have jacked up rents by as much as 100% after the fires, and thousands of people lost their homes. And he points out California's rent gouging law, the 10% thing. Just one example here in Manhattan Beach, a 5-bedroom home listed on December 31st for $8,750 per month is now $19,750. What kind of person does that?
Actually, a lot of them. I don't know what kind, but they're not atypical, unfortunately.
No.
Let's say you're wondering about your utility bills, and we're getting ready to go to break. Whether you have to continue paying your gas, your water, your electricity, it all depends on your provider. So you're going to have to contact Southern California Edison, DWP, Golden State Water. You're going to have to contact them directly and make sure you can get something. This is my recommendation. Get something from them in writing. Don't just talk to the person on the phone and just assume, oh, okay, I don't have to pay my gas bill right now because so-and-so who I talked to on the phone says I don't. Make sure that they can point you to a policy. You can get something emailed to you which corroborates what you may be told on the phone. So you're not looking at some ridiculous bill 6 months from now that you're not expecting, which goes back to repairs which need to be made on your unit if you're renting or relative to your house and mortgage. Southern California Edison, since we're talking about it, we're talking about Southern California Edison in relation to Altadena, has suspended billing for all customers who live in the mandatory evacuation zones. But you have to be clear on those boundaries and how or whether it applies to you. We'll have more on this in just a moment.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
We were talking about those who have been evacuated, those who unfortunately have lost their homes in the fire or have been evacuated and don't have a home to return to. It might be yellow tagged. It might be red tagged. And you're wondering, well, what about my utilities? Do I keep paying them? Do I keep paying my mortgage? What about my rent? I live in an apartment building and the apartment building's been burned down, but I also have bills connected to that apartment, such as electricity, such as internet, such as gas or water. And we've been trying to just comb through this as far as some of your responsibilities. And the short answer is this. You should be proactive and contact your service providers just to be sure that you are aware of their policies. Because even though I'm telling you what has been listed and presented as fact, you should never leave it to chance. You should contact your mortgage provider or your mortgage servicer. You should contact SCE, LADWP, Golden State Water, SoCal Gas, whoever it may be. because they're not going to be uniform as far as their policies and expectations of you as a customer. And you would do better to find out or work out a plan now as opposed to letting it happen. And then you receive a bill for the past 3 months or so. And you realize, wait a minute, why am I being charged for a service that I could not use? There are things that you can do right now to prepare yourself and also inform yourself. We told you about Southern California Edison, which provides power to areas which have been affected, like Altadena. They are suspending billing for all customers who live in the mandatory evacuation zones. That's where I left off last segment. I want to put an addendum on that and say, be clear on what Southern California Edison considers the boundary of the mandatory evacuation zones. There are people who may have evacuated with good reason, and they might have been under an advisory for evacuation and may not ever been deemed as mandatory. And then all of a sudden you're on the hook for something which you didn't expect to be on the hook for. So contact Southern California Edison directly. Southern California Gas customers who lost their home or business, according to this, mind you, I say contact them, but they say you do not need to contact the company to end service. The natural gas provider will forgive the current bill and the most recent bill for customers whose properties have been destroyed. I would recommend contacting them directly and making sure it is on your customer record that you've informed Southern California Gas, SoCal Gas, that your house or apartment has been destroyed or has been determined to be unlivable. So that is on the record. You can have that as a point, a reference point later on, if need be. LADWP has paused billing notices in areas directly affected by the fires. Again, what LADWP has chosen or believes is the area of people who have been directly affected may be different from your understanding. So I would call them and let them know, hey, I've been affected. I can't get in my house. Just want to make sure that you've paused my billing. These are the things that I would say that you should be proactive. Yes, you may be not in your house. You may be in a temporary living arrangement, and it may not seem like it's a priority. But if and when you can, I would get around to it just as soon as possible. And you may also wonder, well, what about federal government aid? You know, there are a lot of questions that we still need answering. If you didn't know, you can receive up to $770 from FEMA under its Serious Needs Assistance Program. And you can use that for whatever you need, whatever supplies that you need. Let's say you need water. Let's say you need hygiene products. It's not coming with any strings attached. $770. And also FEMA offers temporary housing assistance. However, California must request that assistance for it to kick in. I do not know whether the state of California, as in Governor Newsom, has specifically and pointedly asked for that, but it's something that you can contact FEMA to see what the status is on that. Those are just a few things that I think can be helpful to help you navigate this time of uncertainty. You may not be in your house. You may, as I said before, unfortunately have lost your house, but you still have to be mindful of the financial expectations that your mortgage provider may have, wrongly or rightly, the expectations of your power and your water companies, which they may be expecting. I say be proactive, contact them directly, make sure that you're on the record saying that you do not have access to your house or your apartment, and it's on the record so there can be no misunderstanding later on. I'm Mo Kelly. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere.